Hello guys, and welcome back to Serenity Valley. This is episode 24, and today we are going to mostly be fertilizing and cultivating fields 11 and 12. But before we do that, I want to go down here and we need to sell a load of soybeans. We've got a really good price on soybeans. Let me pull that up on our price overlay. Right now we've got soybeans holding steady at a price of $1,123 per 1,000 liters, or 1,000 units. That is about 70% of the best price we've ever seen. The best price we've ever seen was, see, where is that? Oh, it's $1,181 per 1,000 units. So it's a pretty good price. It's holding steady. It doesn't look like it's going to be climbing. So the only way to go is down on that. So we are going to go ahead and take advantage of a fairly good price and sell that. I have already actually staged our soybeans at the train transfer station that is directly in front of us, and I've actually gone ahead and loaded up the grain car because for the first time in 24 episodes, we've got a good price at a train-only sell point. So we're going to drive down here. We're going to jump in the train, and there's our beautiful Union Pacific train. So we're going to jump in our train here and go on over to the sell point, which was where are we at here? So we're going to go to Serenity Valley Railroad, which is right here. So it's just a little bit down the road from us. So let's get this thing in gear. Let's jump in cab because I believe this has a this is a different cab than the default train. Alright, so we're coming up on the sell point. Let's get out of cab here. There's lots of trees here. Alright, let's back up. We overshot it a little bit. Alright, let's dump. Alright, that was a nice set of income, $94,000. I'll accept that. So let's run this train right on back down to our sell point, and let's just jump out of cab because that's a little loud. So it's we haven't taken a train tour since I did a map first impression of this map the very first time. So let's zoom out as far as we can go and just enjoy the scenery. Here we have another train transfer station. This map has two trains, and something else of note on this map is each train has two engines, one on each side of the train. So off to our left we have our industrial area. We see we've got a bunch of pallets of dairy and fruit. We're actually going to sell those again also today. Here we have our joined fields 11 and 12 that we're going to work on today. Behind us we have our joined fields also. There goes our cow areas to the left. And we've got some fields, some of our fields off here to the left. So something else that I want to talk about today is In episode 19, that was my that was the ranting episode about mod theft. One of my viewers left an interesting comment where he felt that basically he was saying that he felt that pretty much any mod was theft of some sort because, you know, for the most part, like giants themselves, any mod based on a giant's bit of modeling is basically theft because of it being someone else's work, giants. And I mentioned that it was copyright law and copyrights in general, software licensing in general is a rather difficult subject to cover in just a few sentences in a comment box, and I was going to basically try to hopefully address that to some degree in the next episode that I recorded, which is going to be this one. So we are going to hopefully not bore each other to death related to software copyright laws and software licensing in general. Let's get away from this track engine. But I am in no way do I consider myself an expert in copyright law. I am not a copyright attorney. I do not pose to be a copyright attorney. This is not like the commercials for the Holiday Inn Express, where since I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express, I get to be a copyright attorney. But I do have a fair bit of experience in working with and understanding software licensing terms. And if you've got any idea, if you've ever looked at a software license agreement, you know that they're pretty difficult sometimes to understand. And in the corporate world, Microsoft has some of the most convoluted and confusing license agreements anywhere. So in my real job, I work in IT at a private college. And for the better part of 15 years, one of my jobs has been understanding license agreements and basically being the resident expert on the Microsoft licensing agreements and how that affects us as an institution. So I've got some background in general understanding of license agreements and software rights and things like that. So I'm mostly going to be banking on that information when I talk about some of these things. And I know that in general, sometimes that type of information does not transfer well to other industries. I know lots of times education gets a lot of special perks, but in general, I think on this discussion, I think what I know is going to be fairly relevant. So I wanted to share that with everybody. Now, should I happen to have in my viewer base an actual copyright attorney, I would love to hear in the comments if anything I'm saying is off base or incorrect. I would love to have that correction so that everyone is in an understanding as to where, in general, legal right is with respect to mods and other things. So before we get to work on our merged field, I do want to sell all of these pallets of dairy. We should have a semi-load. Looks like we picked up a pallet of fruit while we were at it, which is fine. We'll sell that too. Oh, why does this trailer do that? Alright, we'll just ignore that those things fell off the ground and see how much money we can get for this, and we'll deal with those later. So, with respect to mods and copyright. The commenter was talking about, for example, John Deere mods and people that make John Deere mods basically being in violation with respect to John Deere because they didn't go out. They haven't explicitly received permission from John Deere to use the John Deere likeness in their work. And to some respect, that is correct. I highly doubt the mod authors are going out there and are getting documented permission, documented release to use, let's just use John Deere, the John Deere name, the John Deere product name, to make a product that has a likeness of a John Deere product. But what, here goes somebody. But what has a significant factor in needing to obtain that permission is the usage. So is the author making this product with an explicit intent to profit from the John Deere name? And with respect to mod authors, that's typically not the case, because mods that are created are in essence free. Now you could debate the individuals that use upload sites that basically give them some amount of money per download. To some degree they are then profiting from the mod, so that is kind of a technical gray area with respect to, is the person profiting from the John Deere name? And to some respect you could say yes, and to some respect people that put those mods up on those sites that you get maybe, you get a penny for every 100 downloads, then in essence they are profiting to some degree, and to some degree John Deere may have a right to go after them to reap some level of royalty. But in general, people aren't profiting from these mods. They're doing it for their pleasure, and as a result of their pleasure they are giving their product away that they worked on for free, and as a result there isn't much to there isn't a profit margin there. So companies in general really don't mind or don't have the resources or the care to go after such individuals. So like for example, if I can sing along to a song all day long on a radio without any issue with anybody caring about me using some unlicensed reproduction of some song artist's work, I can if I play guitar, I can play a popular song on the guitar without any issue of someone banging down my door and basically seeking royalty payments as a result of me playing some copyrighted song. But where it does come into problem is if I, let's say, play a song and record it and then basically make a little album and sell that album, that then you run into problems because you are now profiting from a copywritten work. So a lot of it has to do with, is there profit involved? Is there a change of money hands? Things like that. Now on the grounds of Giants and using equipment that's in the game and making a mod of it, Giants basically endorses that. They want you, they want a modding community. They want user created content. And here in a bit I'm going to pull up on another screen and talk to you a little bit about the Giants T's and C's, or terms and conditions. Their basic license agreement between themselves and you as a player of the game. You agreed to these terms when you purchased and downloaded the game. Now, we all know that with most respect, nobody reads these T's and C's. No one bothers to really worry about them. But in those terms and conditions, there is explicit language related to user-generated content, and basically how Giants feels about user-related content, what is authorized or what is allowed as far as using user-generated content. So we'll talk about that also here in a little bit. But before then, I had promised in the last episode that we would get our pig food machine up and running. So I have gotten this tractor all set up. That would be highly something you would never do in real life. You would never jump underneath a trailer that's tipping. So we've got 32,000 units of all three of these in here, and let's go around and look at our information screen. So we've got 53% of our potatoes and sugar beets and 42% of our barley, wheat, corn, and soybean products. So this thing will kick off here in a few minutes, and we'll go to town making some pig food. So let's get on over here and get our fertilizer going. And what I don't know, we're going to use course play for this, so that we can then drive our other tractor. Let's see, do I have fertilize? Where is that? Fertilize. Alright. So I do have a course already. Alright. So I'm going to zoom out here because I want to unfold this, and I want to see if the working width of this cultivator is wider than the spread width of the fertilizer spreader. Which way are you going, buddy? You coming this way? Looks like you are. Alright, so it looks like this is narrower than the working width on that tractor, so we are just going to follow behind him, and we'll just cultivate this. So I won't be able to read too much from the terms and conditions while I follow this guy around, basically because I've got to pay attention to where I'm driving. But when you purchase the game, you obviously agree to the terms and conditions of the game, and in the terms and conditions, section 6 is user-generated content. User rights to the multimedia program obligations of the customer. And basically what this section does is it basically says that you, by right of purchasing the game, now have the right to also download and install the Giants editor. And as a result of downloading and using the Giants editor, you have the right to create game mods based on in-game content as well as user-generated content yourself. And Giants makes it very easy to create mods from in-game content. If you download and install the editor and open up the editor, under the file menu is a tab that basically says mod from game, or something to that respect. And basically you click that and it pulls up a drop-down menu where basically you can pick from any item within the game, including one of the two starter maps. We're going to do GPS. So basically, that's how lots of mod authors get started with respect to the maps that they make. Is they just use one of those two in-game maps and just start editing from there. So you have that. People are downloading and using 3D models that they may be finding on the internet. When I was doing a little bit of research for this episode, I found some websites that offered free 3D models, and basically you could download those models, put them in a 3D modeling program. Blender is a modeling program I hear used a lot with respect to Giants modding. Maya is also another 3D modeling application. So those are some applications. There's several others out there. Blender, I think, is free, so that's obviously where it gets its popularity from. And you can basically install those modeling programs, download these free. Now, you know, every 3D model isn't free. Many have a cost to them, but you could download a 3D model, import it into the Giants editor, and basically make your own mod from there. And many of those free 3D modeling sites, their license agreement is such that you are allowed to make things and distribute those things using their models without any attribution or credits. The only thing you're not allowed to do is basically redistribute the raw 3D model file, but you're free to distribute the product that you make from the 3D model file without any credits to the original location for those files. So that's where maybe a lot of these, you know, some of these mods, some of these John Deere tractors, since we use that example, where some of these John Deere tractors are coming from that look a lot, you know, look very similar to real John Deere models. It may be that either the mod author is extremely talented and has made their own model from scratch, or that they found somewhere, either for free or paid. They could have, you know, ponied up some money and actually paid for a 3D model because they really wanted to do something with respect to that particular model of tractor. And darn right, we should be grateful that they're expending their own money to buy 3D modeling software, to buy graphics editing software, to do textures and other things. And then as a result of the Giants license agreement, they are required to give any user-generated content away for free. They are prohibited, based on the Giants license terms, to create a mod, a game mod, and sell it for profit. That is explicitly prohibited in the license agreement. And again, that kind of comes into these mod authors that put these mods on these sites where they do get some level of compensation per download. That, if you read between the lines, that is a violation of the license terms, because they are receiving some level of revenue from the download of their mod, and explicitly that is against the terms of agreement. So specifically, section 6.3 reads, mods created and uploaded by the customer may only be made available to third parties free of charge, not for gain. Okay, commercial use or use in return for payment is not permitted. So again, if you're getting payment, albeit maybe 1 cent for every 100 downloads, that is for gain. So those mods that are posted on those types of download sites is against the terms and conditions of the game itself. You're prohibited from putting mods on like the Apple Store or Google Store. You're prohibited from implying that the mod is itself the game. So I suppose if you made a map and you couldn't advertise the map as basically being Farming Simulator 17 Australian Outback edition, you couldn't do that. Basically you can only do you can only basically say that it is a enhancement or other things. Let's see if I can find that section. The section that says the customer himself is responsible for the content and the distribution of mods. Giants shall be in no respect responsible or liable in relation to changes in the quality of the multimedia program, or the changes or loss to user-generated content, or breaches of intellectual property rights of third parties as at the time of creation, use, or distribution of the mod. So what that is basically saying is Giants cannot be held liable, or will not be held liable, for intellectual property theft that as a result of someone creating a mod. So they're saying that John Deere can't come back and sue Giants because somebody created a mod of a John Deere tractor. And to some degree, further vindication that creating mods like that of a John Deere tractor is completely legal, is that while console players can't get John Deere tractors, PC players can, and in fact there's a John Deere mod in the Giants mod hub. So if making a mod from a John Deere tractor, a Kloss harvester, a Ford pickup truck, any type of any other product out there, if that was illegal, then Giants themselves would not have authorized and placed in their own mod hub that product. But since Giants is receiving profit, they are selling Farming Simulator 17 for gain. They themselves cannot make a John Deere tractor and offer it in game without explicit licensing terms and conditions with John Deere. And that's obviously the biggest thing that's holding lots of equipment back, is the need for, since they're doing this for profit, John Deere is going to want their cut of the money, because people may only buy the game for the sole fact that there are John Deere tractors and implements. And if that's the case, then John Deere has every right to expect some level of compensation for the use of their likeness and their product's likeness within the game. But since gamers that create their own content are receiving no compensation, there is no gain in essence. No one can claim that I went out and I bought Farming Simulator 17 for the explicit purpose of using this user-generated content. I would certainly hope that that no one would claim to have done that. But there may be the off chance. But in reality is that's highly unlikely that would happen. So that's my general take, and where mod theft comes into play is taking someone else's intellectual property, someone else's work on a given mod, someone else's creation, and either making a simple little tweak to it and passing it off as their own work. So what would be against the terms and conditions would be, let's say I decide that I want to take this cultivator and I want to enhance it. I want to make it twice as wide. So I take the side implements and I basically double them, and somehow I make them attached to the existing implements. Somehow I make them fold up, so I end up with this super wide limpkin cultivator. If I then post that to a mod site and basically claim 100% full credit for the mod, I give Giants 0 attribution, 0 credit for the starting model, then that would be theft. That would be stealing their intellectual property, their 3D modeling of this implement, and using it, passing it off as my own. And then something that's happened even more recently than the rant as a result of episode 19 was someone explicitly posting a modified mod and claiming to have been the original author. So they didn't just take the mod from the original author, tweak it, and re-upload it. That in its own right is bad, without the explicit permission of the original author. But then they decided to pretend that they were the original author, and therefore, to some degree, make people think that this was an authorized edit, an authorized version of the mod. They even used the original mod author's version numbering scheme. They took the description all the way down to the credits, all the way down to the, let me thank these people for doing product testing on the mod. They took the mod author's change format, where they basically said version 1.0, this initial release, version 1.1, these were the changes that were made, version 1.2, these are the changes that were made, and it was that version 1.2 which was completely bogus and completely not done by the original mod author. So that is not only intellectual property theft, that is identity theft, and basically, to some degree, could be posed as a very serious crime in many countries, over and above, the question of, well, is this really theft if it's posted out there for free? If someone poses as you and poses to release a product as you, as your company, that is a very, very serious offense, and I don't really know if there would be any country out there that would not feel that that was a very serious penalty. So we're past our time here. I pretty much said what I wanted to say. I could go on for way too much longer on this exact topic, but I won't do that. I basically have gotten, I think, my point across. Let me know what you all think. Let me know if you think I'm off base. If anybody out there is a software attorney, if anybody out there is a copyright attorney, I'd love to understand the real deal. I do know that copyright laws are going to be different in pretty much every country, so there's lots of specifics to deal with when you start talking about an international product. So if you like this video, or if you like this series, please click the like button. If you have not subscribed and you would like to subscribe, please go ahead and click on that good old subscribe button. I put out 2 Let's Play series, one on Serenity Valley and one on Cherry Hills. I also do map first impression videos, which are basically map reviews, map first looks, if you will. So we put those out. We do have another series on kind of how-tos, basically how to do certain things on a map. Maybe there's a map that has some industry aspects to it that's not really well explained. I'll try to understand those and explain them a little better. Then we also will do things where maybe I explain, you know, how you can, I just did a video on how you can raise pigs to be profitable by using a meat processing mod to basically make raising pigs a lot more profitable than simply raising them just to sell them back at the animal dealership. So we've got those things going on. Check out the guys in the description below. They all put out really great content. Their content is usually different than my content. So they all have different forms of gameplay. So I'd encourage you to check them out if you want to. And then go ahead and check out the PCSG network, as well as the 3 Dudes Gaming Network. I am a member of both, and I am a media partner with 3 Dudes Gaming Network. And the PCSG network has some of the best gamers out there as far as good-naturedness, friendliness. They are there to help. No one will think negative of you for asking a question that's been asked 5,000 other times. They have some formal multiplayer server schedules. So I think on Fridays and Saturdays they do Farm Sim on 2 different maps, and on Sundays they do they either alternate between Euro Truck Sim or American Truck Sim. So if you want to do that, if you want to get into a multiplayer server that's not open in public and has all the issues that an open public multiplayer server would have, I encourage you to join and check them out. So until next time, happy farming, y'all.